Namaskar, listeners, and welcome to Akashvani. Today we are in for a double treat because we got two very special guests with us here in the studios of Panaji. And let me begin with this wonderfully creative person that I've got to know recently, Sameera Sheth. Welcome to Akashvani.
Thank you, Alfie. It's wonderful to be here.
You are an art curator.
Yeah.
Where did this journey begin?
So looking back, I think it began a long time ago because I was always interested in art and paintings. But more than that, I was interested in where things came from.
Right.
And my parents were huge collectors of art, antiques, artifacts.
Oh, wow.
So every time they came back from somewhere and told us the story of where it came from or where they bought it. And I was always fascinated by the larger picture.
But now that has led you to curate art.
Yes.
So do share with us some of the interesting art shows or exhibitions that you have curated.
I've been sort of working in the field for over 20 years now.
Okay.
And over the years, I think I've curated some really special shows. I moved to Goa about 14 years ago.
Okay.
And I've worked very closely with artists based in Goa. And some of the more memorable shows that come to mind are, there was this one show I did called She,
Okay.
which was with 8 female artists.
Wow.
It was a celebration of the feminine spirit. And it was across diverse media.
Oh,
so
okay.
we had a stoneware and ceramicist. We had an artist who works with embroidery. We had painters, watercolorists, sculptors. And it was really nice because there was this explosion of artistic creativity and it was all female-led. It got a lot of attention and it was, we were all very happy with it. And then some of the more recent ones, I did a show with artists with disabilities. And that was also very special because I learned a lot after so many years working as a curator. It was a whole new world for me. I got a glimpse of their creative process and how a blind person, say, feels color rather than sees color. So that was a very, very special show.
Wow, that's something which many people would not have, even imagined.
Yes. It was really sort of something that boggles the mind. Like we would never
Absolutely.
have thought of this. So it was a very, I think, a really learning experience for me, a real learning experience for me.
Any experiences outside Goa?
Well, I started off writing about art.
Okay.
I started columns when I lived in Dubai.
Okay.
So I was always meeting artists. I'd done a few shows there. But I think it's moving to Goa that really brought out the best in me, I would say.
I think you are qualified to say this, that the art scene in Goa is quite vibrant.
It is. I always feel, that I don't think you could find a dull corner in Goa. I don't think you could ever describe Goa as bland or lackluster. So everywhere there's this artistic spirit, a creative spirit that comes through everywhere. In its architecture, in its language, in its music, in, of course, the artistic spirit as well, visual
Yes.
arts in particular. So I think there's a lot of creativity here. It's very original. And we have, of course, Mario Miranda and his beautiful visual expressions.
Correct. Yes.
So there's so much in Goa, the colors of the walls. It's a very happy, vibrant place.
And speaking of visual expressions, brings me to our next very special guest here in the studio, Ulka Chauhan. Welcome to Akashvani.
Thank you, Alfie. Thank you for having us today.
I believe for you, life is all through a lens. You are a well-known, internationally traveled and acclaimed photographer?
Yes, I guess you can say that, Alfie. My journey with photography really began when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And my dad gifted me my first camera. So I was down with chickenpox and was in home quarantine, but I was actively photographing everything in sight.
Okay.
Then my relationship with photography really developed further when I was back in home quarantine due to the pandemic lockdown. And that's kind of where I started this current project of mine, which is soon to launch.
Yes.
The Memory Keepers and Future Seekers.
That's quite an interesting title. What made you think of this two-pronged title?
Well, so I've been documenting the old heritage homes of Goa.
Yes.
And what I find fascinating about these homes is the material culture contained within them.
Okay.
Where the architecture itself the antiques and the artifacts really speak of a time of the past.
Okay.
They are the keepers of memory. But then also in today's changing times, when Goa is going through a sea change, I feel that I want to spark conversation about how and what can these houses do to stay relevant in the future.
Okay.
Especially in times, I feel, when many Goan families have succumbed to the push and pull between holding on and letting go of their ancestral homes. These 6 homes featured in my work have persisted and prevailed in keeping their homes and memories alive.
This entire process must have taken a fair amount of time.
Yes, so I've been working on it over a period of 4 years, along with art writer Sameera Sheth.
So that's what the connection is.
Yes.
Okay.
We really enjoyed the process, I think.
But I'm sure there are more than 6 homes.
Oh, there are several homes, Alfie, and we actually visited quite a number of them. But for this project, we decided to focus on 6 homes, just because I feel like I wanted to go deeper with the story rather than go wide and cover a whole breadth of homes.
Okay.
I wanted to pick a few and go deeper into the storytelling.
Was there any specific criteria in choosing these 6 homes?
Initially, it was the architectural aesthetics of the home that would speak to me. From the vibrant facades to the pigmented and textured walls within, the glittering crystal chandeliers or the patterned mosaic flooring, even the oyster shell windows. Everywhere I looked within these homes, there was something I could capture through my viewfinder. But the longer that I worked on this project, I realized that it was more than the physicality of it. It was the emotional connectedness of the families to the home and the land that actually moved me. And so we use this kind of as a criteria in the homes that we finalized
So
on.
all the 6 homes have residents in them?
Yes.
And that too, they've not bought the homes recently.
No, they've been lived in over
family
generations.
home, like a family home.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
that's interesting.
They are ancestral homes that have stayed within the same family through centuries, through generations.
Fantastic. So, are most of your shots close-ups, or what about, are they day shots, night shots? And if they were night shots, did you use artificial light?
In my practice as a photographer, I approach the project from a documentary point of view.
Right.
So the photographs that I feature are a mix in this particular case of the actual space itself, wide-angle shots that show the breathtaking beauty of each of whether it's the Grand Sala or the Entrada and such. Also, I have portraits of the occupants that live in them, the families. I have a lot of candid shots of life as it really plays out within these homes. I also have close-ups of the artifacts and the objects, which are also keepers of memory in their own right.
Now, you wrote whatever's there in this book.
Yeah.
So she used to take the pictures and then used to write, or you all used to go together and you wrote what you saw and then how did it work?
No, so it was a completely collaborative process, even with the homeowners themselves.
Okay.
So we went together to visit the homes and repeatedly.
Yes.
And spent a lot of time with these homeowners. And Ulka's photographs are not posed, and they are not, for the portraits, some of them are.
Of course.
But they were not instructed on how to sit and what to do. It was life carrying on. They were going about their day, what they usually do. And they were welcoming us into their space. So I was speaking to the homeowners and working on my text, while she was, freely taking pictures.
Clicking
and
away.
I think it sort of evolved from that. And of course, then back and forth, looking at the pictures and, new ideas emerged or new things stood out for me as well.
Yes.
But I think one gets a glimpse of the homes and the very majestic, beautiful homes. But one also gets more than that. It's the memories and the stories that take center stage.
Speaking of stories,
yes.
I'm sure there must have been some quirky or strange incidents that took place. Would you care to share? I wouldn't say quirky, but
Well, not strange, but one of the nicest things that happened, or one of the most special things that happened,
Tell us.
is 92-year-old Rafael Vegas invited us for his birthday party.
Wow.
Which was really sweet because there was only family there.
I see.
And we were so happy to be included in this celebration. And so that was one of the really
So
special
it's
things.
a lasting memory for you.
It is.
You share that as well?
Yes, in fact, many of the images within the book are now forever etched in my memory.
Yes.
So, in particular, the cover image.
Yes. Must have
it's
been a challenge, no, to choose, out of the 6.
You know, Alfie, as soon as I shot this image, I knew it was going to make it to the cover.
Okay.
It's an image of family Viegas.
Right.
It's a quintessential Goan home that they live in.
Where is this?
It's in the picturesque village of Kurturi in South Goa.
Right.
But at its core, it is a portrait of the elderly Marianne Viegas. Her fragile frame framed through several solid teakwood door frames. And what I really love about the image is that we see through a corridor of frames within frames that takes one's eye all the way from the balcony outside, past the entrada, through the liminal space in which she sits, and into the very heart of the home, the kitchen. And also, I love the image because when I first photographed her, I thought she was sitting at her breakfast table, having her morning cup of tea or coffee, when in fact she was sitting at her Bible table, practicing her morning ritual of coloring,
Oh, beautiful.
which was an activity that was prescribed by her daughter to stimulate her mind and boost her memory.
Fantastic.
So this is one thing I felt was quite amazing, that the narrative of this moment really fit in so beautifully with the narrative of the book, The Memory Keepers.
So these are all natural light photographs?
Yes, so I prefer to shoot with available light.
Okay.
I don't like using flash photography. Artificial light, yes, it could have been an option, but it was a decision I chose not to use it, primarily because I wanted to go into these homes and have the family members feel comfortable. You know, had I gone in with a whole bunch of equipment, lighting equipment, I think those natural, spontaneous, everyday moments would have been lost. Yeah, my kind of intent as a photographer is to capture people in their natural space.
Absolutely. Now, did all these pictures come from one camera or did you use a variety?
Well, there was one camera, Alfie, but many, many lenses.
Okay.
My dad used to photograph with one. And so since then, during the pandemic, when I rediscovered my love for the craft, I bought myself a Leica as a gift.
Yes.
And since then, never looked back, never photographed with anything else. What I love about this camera in particular is that it's a totally manual system.
Correct.
It's the rangefinder system,
Yes.
which really enabled me to slow down and shoot more mindfully.
Approximately how many pictures are there in this book?
That's a good question. The book has 260 pages,
Okay.
and it's 6 families that have been featured. Number of pictures, I would say
Approximately. We're not going to count it.
150, maybe.
But for these 150 to appear here, how many pictures did you shoot overall?
Oh gosh, please don't ask me, but there are several gigabytes sitting on my hard drive. And it was a process to really cull it down and select the best of, what I wanted to portray.
How was your, experience writing this? Were there any? I'm sure there must have been some challenges, or it was just smooth sailing.
I wouldn't say challenges because, memory is not something linear.
Yes.
It's not rigid, it's not controllable. It
Correct.
can be evoked by anything. And here we have a lot of memory keepers. Sometimes it's not even reliable, actually.
In a sense.
In a sense. So we are working, I'm writing about, it's very personal. I'm writing about people and their memories and their experiences or stories. You just go with it. You get drawn into those worlds. And these images are so multi-layered because they're taking you back to another time.
Yes.
And a lot of, we are speaking to people sometimes whose memories are fading as well.
Many Goans will be thankful for, keeping these memories alive through this book.
I hope so. Yeah.
So, what future plans? Part 2, part 3?
Well, Alfie, I have many ideas for future projects, one of which involved the Goan Grandmasters. So masters across various creative disciplines.
Right.
And I thought of featuring or having a book that features 6 of them.
Okay.
It is still in the very early phases of conceptualization. So I'm not sure in which direction it goes, but I'm hoping it'll go somewhere. Because as with all my projects, as much as they're an exploration of the subject matter, it is also a process of learning and self-discovery for myself.
Every artist, has that experience.
Yes.
But I'm sure it sounds quite intriguing. It'll be multidisciplinary, I guess.
Yes, exactly. So I thought of featuring 6 creative disciplines and the masters within each of those disciplines. I don't want to commit
Let the
to
cat
any.
out of the bag.
Exactly.
No
But
giveaways
sounds
yet.
and needless to say, you will be collaborating.
I hope
Yes,
so.
of course, of course.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
well, Goa is very close to my heart. So any subject that centers around Goa, and we've had such a lovely experience with this book that
So why not replicate
I look
it?
forward to working again. Yeah.
Well, Sameera Sheth, Ulka Chauhan, on behalf of all our listeners at Akashvani, I want to say thank you.
Thank you, Alfie, and thank you for having us on Akashvani.
Thank you, Alfie. It was a pleasure being here and speaking with you today.